thank everybody that's been involved in making this a possibility. This is the second attempt to actually visit Australia after we declared some 8 months ago to rescue Nigeria. I mean, I'm using the word we because all of us are engaged in this project. Myself, yourself, your children, your grandparents at home, the unemployed, the abused, the disrespected, people who have been mismanaged by a political class that is discredited and ultimately must be abandoned in our life. So we are here once again, as you have been told, to discuss the future of our country, Nigeria. Nigeria is 200 million people. It's just 1/4 the size of Australia. Australia is 4 times bigger than Nigeria, but Australia has got 27 million people, Nigeria has got 200 million people. Very interesting people, very dynamic people, very brilliant people, very hardworking people. But unfortunately, we have one bad luck, leadership in Nigeria. And that leadership is not only affecting the progress of the Nigerian nation and its people, it's affecting the progress of one of the most continents in the world, the African continent. So what did we decide some 8 months ago? I and a lot of friends of ours decided that we'll throw our hats in the ring to challenge the political cabals in Nigeria, to make sure that we end their reign and we retire them permanently, sufficiently enough that our country can experience progress, prosperity, and peace. And that message has gone round the world. It has also gone round Nigeria, taking me to about 30 states within Nigeria, out of 36 states. It has also taken me to almost now some 15 cities around the world or more. We've done over 100 events, town hall meetings, just meeting and greeting Nigerians, entering into churches, going to mosques, marketplaces, visiting the grassroots, visiting palaces, and all kinds of places. People exchanging ideas, engaging massively on social media. And where we are today is that we can report to you that Nigerians are ready to take their country back now. And Nigerians are not only ready in Nigeria, Nigerians are ready all over the world, united to bring an end to the misery that has been visited upon our country and our people all over the world. If I ask you here, one thing that you would love to see or do is to return back to your homeland, Nigeria. Yes, we are here in Australia. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is, how nice, warm, cold it might be. Every time we wake up in the morning, before we go to sleep, anytime we meet our other colleagues, fellow Nigerians, what are we talking about? We're talking about how Nigeria can become a better place. As I often do, when I travel on these trips, we live stream on the good things that are happening in other places. And it's very sad to report to you that in all the countries that I've been in the world, including on the continent of Africa, this includes South Africa and Ghana, there is nowhere that we have been that is not better than Nigeria. There's no airport that I've flown into anywhere in the world that is not better, bigger, better organized than our airports in Nigeria. There is no school that I've been to outside of Nigeria, including in Ghana. Ghana, of all places, that is not better than the schools we have in Nigeria. There is no hospital that I have been to outside of Nigeria that is not better than the hospitals in Nigeria. There's no road that I've driven on or been driven on that is not better than the roads in Nigeria. So the question you ask of yourself all the time is, who caused us? Who did this to us? Particularly because we are also some of the most religious people in the world. So by experience, by faith, we are closer to God. So why is it that we are closer to God, but yet God does better for people who are not as close as we are to him. So there must be something wrong. But there's no big deal about what is wrong with Nigeria, because Nigeria continues to reward the enemy of Nigeria with social and political promotion from time to time. And in 2019, Nigeria is about to make another fundamental mistake. I repeat it, a number of fundamental mistakes or errors, as they say in maybe soccer, unforced errors or an unforced error of voting into office a president that will be working against the interests of Nigeria. And you and I know who these two candidates are, because there are about 91 political parties, but not all the political parties have presented presidential candidates. But now we have two major political parties, the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party. In Nigeria Palace, we call the APC All Promises Cancelled, or All Past Criminals. And the PDP is referred to as People Deceiving People. Yes, that's their name in Nigeria. If by chance we make a mistake of voting for any of these two guys, sorry, this is not supposed to be our slideshow, or any of these two political parties, Nigeria is going down the toilet. It's not as if we are not there yet, but they're about to flush us down completely the system. And as I tell people, if Abubakar Atiku wins the election, he will put Nigeria on eBay or Alibaba. He will sell Nigeria finally. Yes. If Buhari wins, well, good luck to everybody who is expecting any form of progress. So we have clearly some 4 months to steer Nigeria in a different direction. And the direction is a direction of hope, it's a direction of progress, it's a direction of unprecedented development. Because now we have young people who have signified their intention to rescue Nigeria with the help of other young people or even older people. I don't want to make it sound like in an attempt to save Nigeria, we have this schism that is a division between the old and the young. Our contention is not that people are old or young. As you know, there are young people in Nigeria who are completely useless in political office. I don't want to name names so that I don't waste your time, but you know them. And there are old people who are not exactly bad. But our problem is that we have a problem of the age of the ideas of the young old people who have been running Nigeria. So what am I trying to tell you? The same guys who have been in Nigeria, running Nigeria since probably some of you were born, or some of you, your adult life, are the same people still running Nigeria in 2018. And subsequently, they want to continue in 2019. So if you were around in 1983, you knew a young guy named Buhari. He was 42 years old at the time he became the head of state, right? If you were around in 1992 and you heard about two political parties, the National Republican Convention, NRC, and the Social Democratic Party, SDP, you knew of SDP presidential candidates, aspirants in those days. A guy named Abubakar Atiku contested against MKO Abiola during their Jos convention. He was also 42 years old. But today, these same people are in their 70s. Atiku is about 73 years old, and Buhari is officially, his football age, soccer age, is around 76. But people who know him very well says he's around 80 something. His younger sister is 82 years old, officially. And this is the truth. He himself even went to London last year after spending some 100 days. He came and gladly announced to Nigeria that his doctors found that he's 1 year older than his declared age. Told Nigerians. I'm not making this up. So we come from a very bizarre country where the president of the country is older than the country. Nigeria is 58 years old. Our president is 80-something years old. So you can imagine the reason why we are not making progress. And what we are doing now is that I, Omoyele Sowore, has presented myself to lead Nigeria to the path of glory. I have presented myself to lead Nigeria to a new form of renaissance. I have presented myself to dedicate our commitment to a future that is different, because I know, based on experience, based on research, based on integrity, and also experience, a pedigree that is well known, that Nigeria could be completely better than what it is today. So, but as I mentioned earlier, people who were in their 40s, head of state of Nigeria, are asking me at the age of 47, what experience did I have? In fact, some Nigerians who have internalized oppression so badly that they can't think are asking that I should go and start from the local government at the age of 47. Not only am I 47 years old, I have a master's degree. I have traveled the world, having spent 19 years living in the US. I have exposure, right? And I have a clear understanding of how to run the country. I'm healthy, largely physically and mentally. You know, a lot. Thank you. As you guys love to ask me, I have enough stamina to steer the ship of state in a positive direction, to steer it out of turbulence and out of the systematic and hysteric condition of destruction into which it has been placed in the last 58 years. And somebody asking for experience. But the truth is that I have experience, great experience in doing what is right as a young person, helping to fight for democratic rule in the country, as a young person setting up one of the best media houses that competed globally. In fact, of all the presidential candidates today in Nigeria, I'm probably the only person who has ever invented something in Nigeria. The rest of them never invented anything. They stole, and destroyed. And the more they stole, the more they are rewarded with social and political promotion. And that is what I'm asking that we should end this time around. And I'm not reading from any paper. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. I'm speaking from the bottom of you guys' hearts as well. I'm saying and giving life and breathing oxygen into our collective desire to change our objective conditions in Nigeria. That never again should Nigeria experience the kind of terrible leadership we've had in the last 58 years. That never again should Nigeria be burdened by a burdensome and wicked political set of people that we now refer to as political cabals, whose only interest is to strangulate the development of the country. Nigeria is today completely in a state of arrested development. Anytime there's a chance for Nigeria to make progress, these leaders will go and squeeze Nigeria's neck so that Nigeria don't experience the kind of progress that other people take for granted in the world. One of the things I do when I travel to places like Australia is to live stream to the rest of Nigeria, say to our brothers and sisters and say, look at what we take for granted. We just came from a neighborhood where we're staying, and I was asking them, the neighborhood looks like the richest neighborhood in Nigeria, like Lekki and Victoria Island and Maitama. And my host or our hosts were telling us that poor people live there. Well, it depends on what you call poor. The people you describe as poor in Australia are our own rich people in Nigeria. This is the truth. Because they are living in all these nice houses. You know, we have a lake, artificial lake in front of the place. They have sideways, the highways are okay. They're talking about education, you're talking about renewable energy. You see solar panels all over their houses, and you can feel governance. It's as if here you are assaulted with good governance. You know, here they punish you with good governance. In Nigeria, they punish us with bad governance. And we must reach a point in the life of Nigeria that all of us must bond together and make a pledge, which is not the national pledge, not the national anthem. It's a pledge that the dignity of the Nigerian person must be restored. We must get to a point in the life of Nigeria, we must say, enough is enough, that we cannot continue like this. And it depends and behooves on every one of us. We must, for the first time, for those who have never done it before, I've done it since I went to the university, become conscientious objectors against the kind of systematic, rotten governance or governors of Nigeria. We must say to them, at this point, we are not going to accept you to continue to drive our future into perdition. So that's why I'm here. And in doing this, the question is, how are we going to do this? How do we want to approach the Lord? Some of us are so overwhelmed with the situation of Nigeria that we've given up. In fact, what I hear from a lot of people is that saying, look, until you guys came on board, I had given up on Nigeria. Some people don't plan to go back to Nigeria anymore. Because for you to travel to Nigeria, you know, you have to pray for months that you make it through common customs or police, kidnappers, and that there are no highways in Nigeria that can take you from the airport to your final destination without somebody hearing bad news. As we started this meeting with today, 3 young people who were campaigning for one of our governorship candidates in Delta State plunged into a river in Agbaro in Delta State. Last month, the same place, somebody plunged, a whole car plunged into the river. Reason, every bridge, as you know, by every standard should be constructed with guardrails to the left and right. The one in Delta, this particular one in Agbaro, had no guardrails. If it had, it's inferior type because they've stolen and robbed Delta into a stone age. But it's not only Delta, it's the rest of Nigeria. Again, I come back to how. And we have developed a 10-point agenda, template to rescue Nigeria. What are Nigeria's biggest problems? A lot of problems, depends on who you are asking. If you ask somebody in the Niger Delta region, they will tell you it's pollution. If you ask somebody in the northern part of Nigeria, they'll tell you it's security. If you ask somebody in the middle of Nigeria, they'll tell you it's hunger, starvation, agriculture. But we know that there are 10 things that must be done simultaneously, what we call pari passu, for Nigeria to experience the kind of development and progress it needs to experience. And one of it is that every Nigerian must feel secure inside Nigeria, security. The second aspect of it is power. Without electricity, energy, we are not going anywhere. I don't care what anybody tells you. It is not happening that you can have development when you don't have energy, you don't have power, you don't have light, as we call it in Nigeria. Number 3 is our infrastructure must be taken care of in such a way that our roads, bridges, rail lines, schools are at such levels that can deliver to the hopes and aspirations of 200 people in Nigeria. Number 4 is corruption. Of course, I don't need to tell you about it. Corruption is our number 3rd religion after Christianity. Is, Islam. The 3rd thing that every Nigerian worships is corruption. The 3rd thing that they're likely to participate in, even unconsciously, is corruption. Because if you walk into Nigeria today with the mentality of the Westerner, I don't want to give, I don't want to give. After 3 months, you discover that you can't get anything done. You start giving a little bit because your driver is corrupt, right? The policeman is corrupt, your mechanic is corrupt, your megad is corrupt, and they don't see anything wrong with it. Everybody somehow is participating in it. But it is not as much as everybody is corrupt as a problem, but that the leadership is forcing people to be corrupt. Because you can't get services delivered to you without being corrupt. You cannot get a teacher to teach your kids without having to go and bribe the teacher, even if it is with yam or plantain, right? You can't get a doctor to treat you without somehow offering something in return for the treatment. You can't get a university lecturer or professor, as we call them, to teach you properly without giving sex in return for proper marks in the university. You can't get anything done without corruption. The next thing is an economy that works for the Nigerian people. You have heard about the Nigerian economy. I don't want to go there. I believe that Nigeria don't even have an economy. We are just doing what we call a rub bumble. It is rub my back, I rub your back economy that we do in Nigeria. But the real economy that will work for Nigeria is the kind of economy that provides jobs for the teeming young population of the country. Over 70% of our young people are below the age of 30. A lot of them have graduated from university, no jobs. And with security in place, with power infrastructure in place, we can employ over 5 million Nigerians within 2.5 years. Why am I saying this? If you guys have read news in the last few days about Africa, you know that Egypt just delivered on a 150, I think it's about 17,000 megawatts of electricity that was completed in 2.5 years. Nigeria has not been able to complete the Lagos-Ibadan highway just to refurbish it in 20 years. I'm sure you find your neighbor something that has not been completed since you have been around. The next thing is, of course, this restructuring of Nigeria. This is one touchy subject that affects a lot of people, especially from the South. It is done in such a way that the debate is tearing Nigeria apart. The people in the North think that restructuring of Nigeria means that Nigeria will break and they will lose access to Nigeria's resources that is coming from the South. The people in the middle feels like, well, restructuring will give them the kind of protection they need from their overlords. And the people in other parts of Nigeria think that, well, restructuring will empower people more. No, what we're saying is that if you want to restructure Nigeria, you have to fundamentally change the document that governs Nigeria, which is the Nigerian Constitution. The Nigerian Constitution is a fake and fraudulent document imposed on it by the Nigerian military, not the people of Nigeria. And what we are saying is that if you want to restructure Nigeria at any rate, you must allow young people to be in the driver's seats that will restructure Nigeria, because our future that is at stake everywhere in the world. As you know here, young people are the ones determining the leadership or how the state of, the ruler of the state is engineered everywhere else in the world. I heard in Australia, you guys love change so much that you change your prime minister almost every week. You know, we need to be in a position where at least every 4 years we can change our leaders if they are not performing very, very well. So restructuring is very important to us, but restructuring is it's not just the buzzwords of state police, devolution of power. It has to be something that is fundamentally more cohesive and compelling than just what you are hearing. And what I say, or what we have said from our team, Takeitback, and our party, African Action Congress, is that restructuring cannot happen without engaging young people in the restructuring project. And the first way to start is to elect a vibrant, brilliant, exposed young person with integrity, with capacity, with capability, and an understanding of how to make things work in Nigeria. And the restructuring will start from there. Next to restructuring is, of course, health. When we did our research starting from this, health is the #1 need of most Nigerians. Reason is that, as we speak, over 70 to 80 million Nigerians have never met a doctor before. And when they are lucky to meet a doctor, the doctor is not diagnosing what is wrong with them. The doctor is advising them based on the complaints they brought to the doctor. So if you go to meet a Nigerian doctor, you tell him what is wrong with you. It is not the doctor who is treating you based on what is wrong with you. What I'm saying is that if you go to a hospital here in Australia, before a doctor tells you what's wrong with you, they carry out tests. They test your urine, they look at your eyes, they test your temperature. In Nigeria, the doctor sees you and say, what is wrong with you? You even tell him, sir, I have malaria. You know, and because malaria is the commonest ailment in Nigeria. The doctor then starts treating you based on your own diagnosis. Say, you have malaria, yes, sir. And they start putting you on anti-malaria drugs. If it doesn't go in 3 days, the doctor, you come back to the doctor and say, the malaria has not gone. He says, so what is wrong with you this time? You say, well, I have typhoid. So after the doctor treats you for another 6 days and your typhoid is not disappearing, you come back and say, doctor, the problem has not gone anywhere. He will say, go and see your pastor. Or then when your pastor sees you, he says somebody is bothering you in your family. And that is our healthcare system in a nutshell. It might sound funny to you, but I'm sure you have heard this story before. You have lost somebody.
Take it back! Take it back! Action!
You have lost somebody to misdiagnosis. I'm sure. You've lost somebody. Our friend here, they lost a member of the family. She had thrombosis. And the doctor diagnosed that she had a fracture and put a POP on thrombosis. You know, this is somebody who has blood clots in her leg. The doctor went and put POP over it until she started telling the doctor, I'm not feeling better, the pain is getting worse. The doctor said, don't worry, until she died. So we lose people like that every time. So health is the #1 priority. And what do we intend to do? We intend to hire people, over 160,000 health professionals, to find into the Nigerian society or communities and start, even if it is by checking people's blood pressure, because the greatest killer in Nigeria, and as I know, or that I've heard about of these health diseases, a lot of people don't even check their blood pressure. And you know, when you see people falling and dying, or they don't wake up the next day, instead of trying to find out what killed them, they start pointing out witches and wizards in their family who killed them in their sleep. That is not the way to govern a country. Right? You hardly can find a teaching hospital in Nigeria that can be called a hospital. In fact, they used to call Nigerian hospitals consulting centers. They are no longer consulting centers because you can't even find any medical consultants left in the country. Most of them have left the country. But a lot of them are willing to come back if they find the conditions that can help them to come. In fact, a lot of Nigerian medical professionals are willing to go back to Nigeria and work for free if they can have a country that can accommodate their expertise and skill sets. So it is very, very important that health is made a priority, because without health, we can't have wealth. And the next other 3 things are, of course, education, and these things are not strange to you. You practically have free education here. I saw some Nigerians yesterday at University of Queensland who told me they're here on scholarship, provided by the Australian government, not the Nigerian government. But the small country of Liberia just declared free tuition in their university 3 days ago. Nigeria has got no education. You know, our education system again is such that a professor believes that until you fail, he has not taught you. Yes, I've been a professor in the university in the US for 8 years. If the number of students failing in your class is higher than is expected, you are the one who will get fired. But in Nigeria, a professor is promoted based on the number of people they fail. They will even tell you in your first day of class that how many people are in this class, say 40 something. So last year, only 3 people passed my class. How can you say that on your first day of class? It's the kind of mindset we have, but beyond that is also the problem of curriculum, which needs to be changed. After that is agriculture. And you are here in Australia, the Australian government is always asking for help. You know, asking Nigeria to call for help, you know, to have some kind of partnership so that we can grow our land, we can till and cultivate our land. There are millions and millions of acres of land to be grown in Nigeria, but because farmers are not getting the right kind kind of help they need. They're not getting extension services. They're not getting the kind of loans they need. Africa or Nigeria cannot boast of food security. Instead of governors buying tractors, they are buying what they call Prado Jeeps. You find a governor with 50 Prado Jeeps, and there is no tractor, no one single tractor in his state. So our priorities are wrong. Finally, is tourism, and after saying that, you know what I'm talking about. Tourism is not just something you decree into existence, right? It has to be something that is developed with other conditions that are supposed to encourage people to come to your country. For example, if you don't have security, it doesn't matter how many Olumo rocks you have in your country, nobody's coming near your country. If there are no roads, infrastructure, it doesn't matter how many Kogosi, spring, warm water, or, blood water you have, nobody's coming to your country. And you know that today, even as Nigerians, most of you will prefer to go to Jamaica or other Caribbean islands for holiday than to go to Nigeria. Most people go to Nigeria out of pity or because of nostalgia. And when before you go, you know what it is. And when you want to take your children to Nigeria, you know how much effort it takes to get your children to travel with you. Because first, they keep telling you, Daddy, I don't want to go to Nigeria. And when you take your children to Nigeria and you bring them back, most likely they don't want to go back, right? And it then becomes a situation that the only time you remind your children about your country is when you want to use Nigeria to threaten your children, when they don't behave at home. You tell them, I'm taking you to Nigeria. I say, Daddy, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it for you. I don't want to go to Nigeria. Never. So this is our story, and this is how we intend to intervene. And we want you to interrogate these ideas that we have put together. In having these town hall meetings, there's something I love about it. We don't make any assumptions that we already know everything. In fact, these town hall meetings we've been having around the world has helped us to understand how many Nigerians are out there who even know better than those of us who are contesting. The skill sets, the brilliance, the intelligence, the exposure of Nigerians is amazing. And you guys have to just be thankful that we are still out there doing great things. The only place that don't work for a Nigerian person is the Nigerian nation. The moment they take you out of Nigeria, you shine. But in Nigeria, it's like they're always perpetually using buckets to cover your candles or your lantern. It's like you must not shine. It's the business of leadership in the country to make sure that you don't progress. And that must change. So on that note, I want to thank you all once again for coming to this event tonight. I know it's Friday night, you could have been elsewhere, but you are really, really concerned about the progress of the country, and you're taking our time to come see us. And we want to thank you so much for taking our time to see us. And I've been told that you have questions. And there's usually a lot of questions and loaded questions. Feel free to ask the questions, and I will be glad to answer to the best of my ability. Thank you once again for coming. Thank you.
Take it back! Take it back! Take it back! Action! Take it back! Action!
The organization of the question session. So I think Sowore should come to the front and standing, and we don't want to stress our questions to be.
So I can get you paper as well, sir. If you have pen and paper, you can.
Take it back! Take it back! Action!
So, can you please raise up your hand if you have questions for Mr. Sowore? Okay, let me start from my right and left hand side here. I'm going to give you one. No, I'm just giving you, whether a comment or a question, I'm giving you a number. Okay, so I'm giving you a number. Number one, please raise up your hand. Let me see. Yeah, so number one. Number two, my brother in brown shirts. Number three, sir. Number four. again now. Take it easy.
Action.
Okay, number 4, right? Yeah. Number 5, I'm going in red. Number 6. Number 6, sir. Number 7. Are you raising your answer? Number 8, class. Number 9, Elvis. Number 10. The guy. No, yeah, you. Yeah. So please let's note our number. So we take the first 3. So we're going to jot it down. We address this one. After that batch of 3, we take another batch of 3. I believe that is pretty clear. Okay. So let's go. You give us your name and just briefly what you do in Australia, because we also want to harvest our area of expertise, because in another 2-3 years, many of us will be rushing to get back to Nigeria to make our professional knowledge to get back to the country. So please, very briefly, straight to the point, sir. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good evening. Thank you for coming today. My name is Sammy, Chidi. I've actually come today to really say thank you for standing up and saying, look, it's enough. It's time for people to actually, fight and really get a new country that works for them, and not a place where people are treated like foods and animals. So I've actually got a few questions for you today. I'm trying to make them really easy. So I want to understand, what is the food base of, the ANC party? So I understand now it's not just a party, it's a movement. So I want to understand how, the hierarchy of the party works. So, how do people, give accountability for what they've done, and what is being done. And then the second thing is, accountability in terms of finances. So, I've seen that you have a GoFundMe page that people can actually contribute into. So how does the accountability for that work? And the third thing is, now I've actually come to let people know that this is actually not just a Nigerian movement. This is an African movement. My brother over here is from South Sudan. So, he wants to see a good Nigeria because he knows that, invariably, if Nigeria is better, other countries will be better. So, what is your link? What do you have in mind, to put into place when you become a president? I really do hope you get to that stage. To do with other countries that are dealing with a lot of these issues, like Cameroon. Oh my goodness, that guy is the worst person ever. So, pretty much that's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2 is.
I do like your ideas and what you stand for, what you believe in. I totally support your idea. I think Nigeria needs change and need a new perspective. We need to see the future, a better future for Nigeria. My question is, how are you planning on going about this? On winning this election, because it's a really tough one. It's going to be a struggle and a big fight. I'd just like to know what's the plans you've got in place, because I want us, the young people, and everybody that believe in you, Nigeria, to support you. So we really want to fully understand what the plans you've got to be able to take this election, take on this election, take on these 2 big guns, and to be able to win the election. Because I think that's very important. It will also help your campaign as well, if we try to understand what's the plan. So.
Thank you for giving us your background.
Okay, I come from a finance accounting background. I do have a finance qualification from Cornell in the US. I'm doing a master's in evaluation at the University of Melbourne, and I work with sponsors.
Yeah, that's good. You're going to give us your professional background, just briefly.
Right, I actually work as assistant security engineer, so all things hacking, basically.
Thank you. Number 3, please. Who's number 3?
Omoyele Sowore. I'm the Director of Takeitback Food and Infinite Possibility Consultancy. My job is not limited to food manufacturing, although I consult on agro-based industry, how to add value to agricultural products, like for example, cocoa, coffee, corn will never go anywhere unprocessed into so many products. That's what I do. On the basis, the president said, people said he doesn't have experience, and this is a comment. And I would like to use this opportunity to say that the president is very inexperienced in looting, is very inexperienced in election rigging, is very inexperienced in money laundering, is very inexperienced in political assassination, and the list goes on. So we thank you, Mr. President, to be that you are very inexperienced in those things that has kept our nation down. Now, my question to Mr. President is this. There's so much impunity in Nigeria. No matter what any society does, if there's no rule of law and there's no consequences of action, taking bad action, that country will never progress. We've seen so many people indicted for corruption. They have always go and file perpetual injunction. Nobody has been convicted. The circle is a vicious circle that revolves and revolves all the time. So, Mr. President, what are you going to do about the rule of law and impunity? Because if there is no, whatever how rosy your programs are, if there is no consequence for wrongdoing, we are still going to be in the same position. So thank you, Mr. President, for having the time to come to us, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we trying to keep the time, so if you go straight to the point, so that we can quickly wrap up the question and answer session.
Thank you once again. And the first question is about party, AAC party hierarchy. The AAC party has a hierarchy of leaders at the national, state, and local levels. The party is actually about 2 months old, but the movement, which is the Takeitback movement, is about 8 months old. So we have grown very fast within such a short time that most people think that we have been around forever. The great news today is that with the way we are growing, even by their own admittance, they have admitted that we are the number 3 most popular party in Nigeria of 91 political parties. The other 2 parties are popular based on bad reputation, of course, and their past records, which is horrible. But in terms of clean records, we're number 1. So I'm chairman of AAC Pro Tem. We're working towards having elections so that we can have permanent leaders elected. But most of the states have already elected their leaders, and we have grassroots representation all across Nigeria and of course internationally, including of all places, Melbourne, Australia. Today, there is no political party in Nigeria where you can find this number of people chanting their names and putting their reputations on the line to support their programs and agenda. Finance. Well, we have been financing ourselves transparently through GoFundMe, which is known as crowdfunding. As of today, I think we've raised over 80-something thousand dollars on GoFundMe, the highest amount of money ever raised by a Nigerian politician publicly and transparently. We have a Nigerian account with Zenith Bank where we raised over almost 20-something million naira, and we announce on a regular basis how we raise funds and also working on accounting for them on a regular basis as well. Of course, it's one way of raising funds through what we are doing here tonight. Don't forget that apart from the Townhall meeting, we're actually here to raise funds. This is the reason why I'm traveling from one end of the world to the other. I have lost, count of my body clock. I don't know where I am right now. So that tells you how difficult it is to raise funds. In Nigeria, the other big political parties just sit back with this money they've stolen over the years. On election day, they hand out 5,000 naira, and that is how they win elections. But we want to defeat that ideology that makes people think that with stolen money you can buy people's conscience and make them vote for you. The African movement, I agree with you that this is an African-wide movement. Nigeria has always been seen as an important part of Africa. In fact, the most important part of Africa. That even South Africans, when they are doing better than Nigeria, they still say they want Nigeria to be the leading country in the world. As I usually describe Nigeria, it's like the trigger of the African continent. If you look at the African continent, it looks like a pistol facing down. And that loaded pistol cannot fire until the trigger is restored, which is Nigeria. Kela, you said, what plans do we have to win the election? It will be my advice that we caution ourselves not to expose too many of our strategies openly. Our enemies have no shame, they have no conscience. If you give them ideas, they see on how to win this election. But generally, we have grassroots existence. We have covered a lot of places around the country. Of course, our biggest challenge is funding. Otherwise, I would have announced to you that this election is over before the election. Nigerians are very, very keen on moving away from the recycled type of leadership that's held Nigeria down where it is today. They are aligned with our vision, and our programs and manifesto. Nobody has been able to challenge our manifesto in terms of its ability to deliver on key areas of development. We have a manifesto that came with what they call KPIs, key performance indicators. That is, we can actually measure how we are going from time to time, on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis. I am now going to become a president of Nigeria that will celebrate 100 days in office, as if people need to wait for 100 days before they eat. Or a president that will wait for 6 months before appointing ministers. We need to hit the ground running. But this is the good news as well, with how we've come. While we are still contesting for office, ideas that we have propagated is being borrowed and stolen relentlessly by the ruling party. Including yesterday, probably you heard that they have awarded the road contract from Lagos to Badagry. It was because we went to Badagry and complained about the fact that we actually encourage people of Badagry to secede from Nigeria and join Benin Republic because it's better to join Benin Republic than to stay in a country that is treating you so bad. Now they have awarded the contract. You heard about how we declared June 12th democracy there and they stole the idea. Yes, we've done so many things that they are still to the point that we are starting to pull back from exposing ourselves too much. But we have plans, we have structures in place to deliver the election. What we don't have, which we are not afraid to say, but sometimes very shy to ask, because sensitive issues, we don't have the finances to deliver immediately the biggest blow that we have delivered to the political class in Nigeria. And this ties to the issue of consequences. Our brother Kunle Adesha was saying that Nigeria don't have rule of law. It is true, but the best consequence that can be delivered to the political class in Nigeria is to defeat them next year, and that will usher in a new era of the end of impunity and the beginning of the rule of law. The rule of law cannot work in a country where people are accustomed to the rule of thumb, or the rule of the mob, or the rule of thieves. So the moment that big consequence is delivered onto them next year, you will start to see a Nigeria that will change from that day on. Nigeria is such a dynamic society that if you see new surprised that the same Nigerians that don't used to queue up for buses will do so if there are buses that will take them to their final destination. You know how Nigerians are. They can exist in heaven or hell, you know, because for them, order is relative. You know, in heaven, order is the first rule, and in hell is the last rule. Nigerians can exist anywhere you want to put them, depending on the leaders. If the leaders start doing what is right today in Nigeria, you'll be surprised how Nigeria will look next day.